Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know past 15. That was good.
What's up, man? It's good to see you. All right. It's excited to see everybody. Really excited for this week's, our last home game of the year, senior night. I'm expecting a great crowd as normal because, our fans do such a good job and we need them. This is gonna be a really tough game, and so we need everybody there. And without a doubt, guys like Boog and Tony Bradford and those guys that are seniors that have put a lot into this university would love to see that thing packed for their last home game. Playing a really good football team, one of the best offensive teams in the country. I think they're top 10 in total offense. Just had a running back go over 200 yards against Oklahoma State. Playing a lot better. They kind of went through what we've gone through. They start off 3-0 and lose their quarterback, and him coming back the last 4 games have made a huge difference. Had an opportunity to beat OU there and, came up short, but they're playing really good football right now. Really explosive. Got 2 really good outside receivers. Once again, really good quarterback. And he's feeling healthier and healthier. He had a leg injury, and just watching the Oklahoma State game, you could see he feels a lot better because he's running a lot more. No Gus, fairly well. His mom actually taught English at our ninth grade campus. Sent him a text the other day congratulating him. He had a 100th win as a college head coach, so I was fired up for him. Excited to see him. Guys that we're expecting to get back, we expect to get Mason Tharp back for this week, which would be big. We're expecting Steve Linton to play, possibly of Cole Spencer. He was actually running around rehabbing this morning, so he's a possibility. And then everybody that played against Kansas, we're expecting them to play. The only game time decision will be Tyler Owens with an ankle, and it's just going to be, can he get to full speed by Saturday? He's moving around pretty well, but, you never know with an ankle. But everybody else that, played against Kansas, we're expecting to play. With that, I'll open up for any questions.
Coach, there were some critical game management decisions that you made that were important in the outcome. Can you give us an idea of the decision to call timeout on Kansas's last drive, and then also the decision to punt a couple of times where it seemed like maybe the book would have told you to go for it, you normally would have gone for it?
Yeah, the timeout, I was kind of waiting. I waited a couple of seconds to call it because I was going to see if he was going to call one because I think he also had one left. And our thought was, get it there because whether they kick a field goal or if they scored a touchdown, we needed some time left to try to go score. So just, I think it's one thing that you see more and more these days of just playing defense and trying to get a stop there. You're seeing more and more teams, get the timeouts. I mean, it's not traditional football. If you go back to old school traditional football, you're going to get a stop and you're going to win right there or lose right there. And I think, with you see it more and more that we knew if we could get 30-plus seconds on the clock, then we'd have an opportunity at least to put the ball in Baron Morton's hands and try to go score. So that's why we call the timeout. The one thing that we've done a little bit different this year, we really stick to analytics, but we try to, that game was a really defensive game, and we were playing minus one play, the option play to where we got upfield. Our three technique got hooked. Then, we had a freshman in the open field against one of the best backs in the country, not make the tackle. Rabbit should have made the tackle and got the ball down, and that didn't happen. And so besides that really one play, we were playing really good defense. So it was, hey, let's try to pin them back and make them drive the field. And that was going to happen either way, but especially now, we've been through it, the pains of playing with a number 3 quarterback. They were playing with a young quarterback, so it's almost like, hey, let's see if he can beat us. And so there was a couple times that probably were a goal. It was really close, but that was more, hey, let's go play defense because we're playing good defense today.
Speaking of the good defense, those red zone stands, the goal line stands, just your thoughts on those plays. Yeah,
when you watch, I thought DeRuyter had a great call where we get the fourth down where Jacob Rodriguez comes free on the blitz. Can't hang on, but you have enough guys running to the football. Braylon Lux came up with a huge tackle in that. But then there's also some just watching some one-on-one football. Jalen Hutchins down there, it was, just a grown man making a play, shedding the center, throwing him and coming off and making, a couple of those plays like that of like on third down or on second down. And that was huge because, I said it after the game, that's something that we have not done well this year. Where last year we were 9th in the country in red zone. This year we've not been very good in the red zone, but we needed to be the other day, and those guys came up really big. And it's kind of a credit to how hard they were playing. I think it's also a credit of getting Jacob Rodriguez back, one of our leaders. And then I thought DeRuyter called a really good game.
And then finally, on the last drive with the 3 completions that set up the game-winning field goal, was there any thought to go to overtime with it only being 26 seconds left, or not?
No, once we completed the first one, then we went, spread, 10 personnel, hurry up. Let's see how far we can push this thing down. I mean, Gino had missed a field goal at that end, but he had plenty of leg. He just pulled it a little bit. So, we were going to be able to stretch his kick line, where we could get to possibly the 40. If we could get to the 40, we felt like at least we could have a shot, and the first one, Bradley comes up big. I mean, if you watch that play, you're talking about getting your eyes around and catching the ball, because Barron threw the ball before he even came out of his break. I mean, the ball was in the air and it was on him, so he did a great job there. And then you had a big play by Miles, and then you turned around and you kind of get a back shoulder fade to Bradley to get us down to where it was almost a chip shot for Gino. And so that was huge. But once we got the first one going, we end every Tuesday first period in a 2-minute drill. And so we feel comfortable about our 2-minute stuff, and good things happen. And good thing too, they played off enough to where we can complete some balls to really get us going.
Coach, UCF made Oklahoma State one-dimensional in attacking their run and forcing their quarterback to do it. Is Barron healthy enough at this time, if he's forced to make the throws like Bowman was forced to do for Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I think he is. I think you saw it on the last drive. I think you saw it on different times in the game. It didn't hurt that it came a torrential downpour in that game. I'm hoping for cold weather. It'd be nice to be in the 50s. I know 50s is not cold, but love to have some guys from, Florida come down to 50 and 40 degrees. But I don't think it's going to be raining. It's going to be a great night, and so I think that also helped, them be one-dimensional. And then turnovers. I mean, we've experienced it, and that's one thing that Oklahoma State, they had 4 turnovers. And I haven't got all the way through that game, but in the first half, there was 10 points off of the turnovers, off of a fumble by the running back and a tip ball interception, that kind of created the 24-0, because Oklahoma State at times moved the ball, but as they moved the ball down the field, they turned the ball over in some bad situations.
The expression is, you are what your record is. Why is that wrong for the Red Raiders right now?
I don't think it is. I think we're 5-5 because a lot of reasons. Number one, early in the season we didn't execute. Different times in games we turned the ball over, and then, it's the reason. I mean, you could say it's an excuse, but there's also, you go from excuses to reasons. I mean, I think it'd be hard to find a team that's been through more injuries than we have, and luckily we're healthier and we're getting some guys back at the right time, and trying to get bowl eligible. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a great game because you got 2 teams that are healthier, and whoever wins the game is bowl eligible. And we don't want to wait. We want to get here, this time and see what happens the next week.
What does it mean for you to have such a crucial game being played at home, for you to be able to clinch bowl eligibility and have the Texas game being a bonus?
Yeah, it's big playing at home. Our guys love playing in front of this fan base, very comfortable playing. I think that Gio and his crew and Pat, and they've created such a great environment to enjoy a game. I mean, that Thursday night against TCU with the flyover and the drones and the music and the lights, it brings a great atmosphere. And I think it's going to be like that. And then, again, we have the best fan base in the country. I mean, they're extremely loud. They make a difference. And so I think it's going to be big, and it's going to be big to do it in front of our home crowd.
Coach, you've had so much success in the month of November. Can you kind of just talk about what it is that this team has that pushes them over that edge at the end of the season?
I think this year it's really, we're probably as healthy as we have been since week 1, and I think Barron is in a groove. I think that, Taj is doing such a good job running the football. Our offensive line is doing a good job. And then, the last couple of weeks against really good offenses, we've played our best defense. And so I think a little bit it has to do with getting healthy. And then, I think we've got some old guys that are really focused of leaving something behind, and part of that leaving something behind is being bowl eligible and being able to play in a bowl game, and that helps you build a program. And so it's kind of the same thing as last year of being able to try to get bowl eligible. I mean, it's frustrating, being 1-3. We played better last year in September, and then we kind of had a bad October. This year we didn't play very well in September at all, and we're playing well at the end of the year. We got to finish it. We got it. This is a huge game for us.
And then after the Kansas game, did you get a chance to talk to Coach Leopold about kind of throwing a third stringer in there, because you've had that similar experience?
Well, I know that he's got, whether it's his first string or whatever it is, he's fixed to play K-State, and that's a big rival game, so I know they'll be ready. I thought the freshman, he did a really good job. He was able to move the ball. He had the big touchdown. He played well in the fourth quarter. That's a guy that he did a really good job. Honestly, this sounds crazy, but I didn't know he was a freshman until after the game. Because I didn't know who their third string guy was, and I expected Bean to play, and I hate whenever any player gets hurt, and so I hate it for him, and he'll have that team ready, man. Kansas is a really good football team, and they've proved they've got to 7 wins, and I know how big this game is for them with Kansas State.
Coach, Jacob Rodriguez had that. He got there first on that goal line stand where Braylon Lux finished the tackle. He went out and came back. How healthy is he, and how big of an impact did he have against Kansas?
Yeah, the good thing was it wasn't his foot. He rolled his ankle, and we were able to retape it and get him back out there. And it wasn't an ankle it was on the different leg. So he'll be ready to go. This time of year when you play this, what are we on our 11th game? You've got football guys that are banged up. I don't know of anybody that's played the number of snaps like Monroe Mills and Caleb Rogers and Jacoby Jackson, and then on the other side of Tony Bradford. Tony Bradford spends more time in the training room than anybody. We might name the new training room, Tony Bradford. I don't know. They say that Pat Mahomes spent more time in there than Tony Bradford. I would have to see that to believe it, because he spends a lot of time in there to get ready. But it's just that time of year, you're playing a lot of football. But, I think Jacobs, he finished the game. He wasn't any worse than what he was whenever he came in to get treatment on Sunday. And so he'll be ready to go. It is fun to watch him because he does have fresher legs than some of the other guys.
And on the final drive, you kind of touched on it already, but just the way that Baron Morton was able to command that drive and make the big throws. He threw it before with great anticipation to Bradley. And then Price striking across the middle and then the back shoulder. Just how confident were you in the offense to get down the field in that scenario?
Well, the one thing that I know, whenever you have a guy like Baron Morton, and his personality and he's a winner, and we've seen that. We've definitely seen it when he's healthy. I know right now we have a really good record whenever he starts and finishes a game. That's what he did on Saturday. He started and finished the game, and he finished really strong. But I have a lot of confidence in him, man. He's especially, he anticipates. I think he's got good relationships with his receivers of, knowing where they're at, knowing where they can be. And, he's, I think the last 2 weeks, him feeling better has made a big difference in him throwing the football.
Coach, you talked a little bit about it last week. 6 wins wasn't the goal, just getting to bowl eligibility, but considering everything you've dealt with and adversity you faced over the first half of the season, can you talk about what kind of accomplishment that would be to be able to play in a bowl game again this season?
Yeah, I think the one thing that you have to establish before anything, without a doubt, I came here to play in the Big 12 championship and win Big 12 championships. And so, that's our goal. But the one thing you have to establish whenever you're taking over a program that X amount of years hadn't gone to consecutive bowl games, or you've got to establish a tradition of going to bowl games. And we talk about that a lot. Once our goals changed and now it was try to get bowl eligible, that was one thing that's really important to these, whenever Tony Bradford sits right there, Boog sits right there, Rashad sits right there, these old guys that sit up front, when we're having these team meetings, what they can leave behind is that expectation that when you come in this room, you need to understand that, we're going to play in a bowl game. What are we going to do after that? And so it's really big. Saturday is a huge game. I think that's why it's important to have the backing of the fans, to establish that tradition that's what we're going to do here.
Coach, you already talked about Gus, but they throw a lot of different things at you in the run game, put defenders in a bind. I mean, especially considering, what happened against Kansas State. What have the conversations been like in the defensive room?
Well, we're glad that we played Kansas last week because they're different but similar, meaning you're going to get a lot of quarterback run game, and so that was good. Kansas moves every single snap. And so I think the communication that we had last week is going to help us this week. A little bit different. I think if the quarterback was healthy all year long, you might see a little bit more K-State run game, but their run game is more like Kansas, zone read. I wouldn't say like the triple option of what Kansas was doing, but you're going to get more of the quarterback run game versus Kansas State. They're more quarterback power, getting behind that offensive line. So I think it's definitely going to help us playing Kansas before. I mean, that's one thing that I made a point to the defense, made a point to the defensive staff. It was good because, it's hard to move more than what Kansas moves. And I thought we did a great job of communicating defensively. And even the long touchdown, that wasn't a lack of communication. That was a lack of execution. We had a good defense called. We just got upfield too much. The ball got pitched too fast. Couldn't get the linebacker and the three technique over. And then we had an unblocked player. We had two unblocked players, and they just didn't make the tackle against a good running back.
Joey, following up on UCF quarterback run game, John Rice Plumlee's obviously made a lot of plays. What does he look like on video?
Watching him the first of the year, I got to, they played Kent State, I think on a Thursday night, and so I got to watch the whole game, and I was like, gosh, man, this guy's something. He's extremely fast, and he has a good knack for when to pull it, when to give it. He's a seasoned vet. And then, when we got hurt, so when he first came back from the injury, they weren't running him near as much. And, you could see, I think the brace is smaller, but first game back, he wore a huge brace. Last week, he ran the ball really effective. So you could tell he's feeling really good. It was a different, each week you're seeing a different guy, a little bit like Barron. You're seeing a little bit different guy being healthier and healthier. And so I think, without a doubt, we're going to see plenty of quarterback run game with him.
They have two receivers, both close to 40 catches, but huge yards per catch, both over 20 yards per catch. What do they look like to you?
Yeah, you got the one had a huge game against Oklahoma State, transfer from Alabama. I mean, both of them are really long and really fast. I mean, they're big receivers. So, it's good. That's one thing with us. I think we've got long corners, and so I think Malik's playing really well right now. He had a great game against Kansas, and so I think that's going to help. But we've got to do a good job. Rabbit's got to continue to be that center fielder back there that helps us out. But they're going to take shots. I mean, they are a vertical passing game team. They're going to try to play you home runs. It's a little bit like Kansas again. We didn't get as much. I was a little surprised. Vertical passing game against Kansas, but I expect to get it against UCF. They're a big play offense.
You've touched on Jalen a couple of times here in the press conference, but just categorize him as a player. If you were what do you tell scouts about him, and what has he meant to this program from what you've observed here?
I tell every scout, your coaches will thank you if you take him. I say that about a lot of our guys, but especially, Boog, because the thing with him that's people are going to knock is, his height. If he was 6'2", he would, of course, be probably first or second round guy just because of how strong and active he is. But I always tell him, but man, those two guys, those interior guys, they are pros every day. they're guys that, you know, they push the team. They're vocal. They're not scared to stand up and say, this is what we got to do. Leaders. And, man, lucky. I've been friggin' really fortunate to coach those two guys. They're good, really good guys. Debbie, actually, it was funny. She sent me a text because, of course, this is senior night. And she goes, I've got to quit getting so close to these guys because I'm already, you know, my heart's already breaking. And two of them are those two. Like, they literally, after the Kansas game, they're not looking to find me. They both go, hey, where's Miss Debbie, you know, to go congratulate her. So I can get really emotional with those two guys.
Where is Tyler in his rehab right now?
If I would tell you he couldn't play today. I think he would tell you he couldn't play today, but he's in a good place to where the good thing Monday we're off. My expectation tomorrow is him to warm up with the team and then go run on the side with Mike and his crew to get the return to play back. And then hopefully by Wednesday he can do some scout periods. Thursday's a walkthrough, so, you know, and then Fast Friday. But the thing about, like, guys like him that are, you know, if it was a freshman or a redshirt freshman, I would be like, man, it's going to be tough to play him because they don't have the reps banked. Having a guy that's a redshirt senior, he's got so many reps banked that I'm not worried about, is he going to know the game plan going in? I mean, he can go play with the game plan being put in today mentally, and so now can we get him physically? If we were playing today, I wouldn't play him. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all.
Coach, I'm just curious with the goal line stands and the red zone stuff that you were able to keep Kansas off the board. How well were you able to, get off the field and some of those calls that you made just to, give your offense a chance and end up winning the game?
Well, I was really proud of our guys, just how they did a great job of getting lined up to all the variety of things that Kansas presents. They communicated well for the most part. We had, a couple times we didn't. It wasn't a call. It was the guys playing physical and understanding what they were trying to do and playing with confidence. And, quite frankly, we had not played great in the red zone this year. So it was great to see, 3 times the ball getting down there and making them kick twice and then getting a turnover on downs the other time. It gave our guys a lot of confidence, I think, being able to stop a really good offense.
Coach McGuire just kind of mentioned it with, Kansas and UCF similarities in the run game with the zone read and stuff like that. How do you stop this UCF offense that seems to have some dual threat stuff with the quarterback as well?
Yeah, I don't know how you stop it. People are having a hard enough time trying to slow it down. They've got really good skill. They've got a really good scheme. What ends up happening is when you have a quarterback run game element, and with the motions, the shifts, and the different formations they give you, they get really talented athletes in a lot of space in one-on-ones. And what they've been able to do is make guys miss in space, and they've got guys that can really run. And so as much as possible, you've got to get 11 guys seeing where that football is and then have great effort to the ball, assuming that at some point in the game, someone's going to miss a one-on-one. They make everybody miss. They throw the ball, equally as well. And so they've got 3 guys outside and a tight end that you use, and they'll throw it through the backs. They really use, 100 yards of the field and 53 and a third, sideline to sideline. So present a lot of stresses on a defense, and we just got to do a great job like we did last week, for the most part, for 3/4 of the game anyways, of keeping our eyes where they're supposed to be and then, being assignment sound.
Coach, how does it feel that this defense has developed over the year? Has it finally gotten to a point of where you're comfortable at the team is performing the way you thought they would perform at the beginning of the year?
Well, early in the year, we thought we had some veteran players, and that's changed a little bit. And guys have gotten better. I think we've got really good position coaches that develop our players, and once they get more comfortable in the scheme, you play better, you play faster. Really proud of guys like Ben Roberts, who, I don't think he thought going into the season he was going to be starting against Oregon. And yet he did, and he performed pretty well. But he's gotten better every week. BJ, Brendan Jordan, he's been having to play a lot for us. Chapman has played a pretty good bit. Jordan Sanford's played. Dylan Spencer's been playing for us. So we got a lot of freshmen, true freshmen, that are having to play meaningful downs for us. And you're a different player than you are in September and November if you have been doing a good job at practice and practicing hard. And our guys have done that. So we've expected them to, improve. And good football teams play their best ball in November. I thought our team a year ago bore that out. And I think the more you get a chance to play, particularly if you get some luck with injuries so that you can play with a consistent group week to week, you can be more efficient on defense.
And speaking of being efficient and everything, how does CJ's play along with Rabbit make that secondary dangerous?
Well, I think CJ's really picked it up well. We switched him, 2 weeks ago now. He made a big jump from the first week to this past week. He's always been a really good physical tackler, which has helped us. I just think he's going to continue to play faster every week. I mean, last week's game plan, really stressed the entire defense because so many checks and so many formations and shifts and motions that he presents you with, that it can slow you down mentally. But he, for the most part, graded out really, really well. And, we got some similar challenges this week with the quarterback run game, but I anticipate him to make another, leap this week. And Rabbit's played really well all year long and been really pleased with how he's been a leader, a playmaker, and just been a really consistent guy that runs to the ball. I think he's playing at an all-conference level.
Players getting better over a period of time. You were talking about the run game, or quarterback run game for UCF. How much more explosive has John Rhys Plumlee become over the last couple of weeks, getting back from that injury and being healthy?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to play against him when I was at Cal a couple of years ago when he was a freshman. And we had knocked Matt Corral, who was a really good football player, out, and we're thinking, okay, we got the freshman. And I think he took 170 against us. He's a guy that's got really good competitive speed. He's got great quickness. When he gets by people, there's not a lot of people that can catch him. So he presents a lot of stress. Like I mentioned, their scheme puts you in a lot of one-on-ones. And when he makes a guy miss, big plays happen. I don't know the exact stat, but I think they're one of the top explosive run teams in the country. And it's a lot of because of what they do schematically, but it's guys one-on-one making guys miss, and he's certainly a guy that is one of those guys that can take the top off. Oh, finally. I mean, it's been a couple weeks. I was, missing you.
Saturday being the last home game for seniors. Of course, I know you got still some more time with them, obviously, beyond that. But what'll that be like for you?
Well, I'll tell you,
Go ahead.
I mean, for me personally, I'm going to miss these guys. You come in and you get a group of guys that, had struggled, and you get guys to buy into what you're doing, to buy into what Coach McGuire was preaching, and then to see them have success, it's just really, really gratifying as a coach. And you develop relationships with these guys, you get to know them, and unfortunately, they're going to be gone and going on to do, greater things, whether it's continuing to play or not play. But this is a special group because they really greatly helped get this thing turned in the right direction. I think our guys feel like we can play defense. We're not always going to be perfect, but we're going to play as hard as anybody that we play against, and we're going to create some problems for people. And, you look at the guys up front with Tony and Jay Boog, on the back end, in particular, Rabbit and T.O. and Malik and Rayshad. I mean, with some great people as well as really good football players that they're going to go on and do some fantastic things. Like I said, hopefully still playing, but I know they're going to be successes as people.
Given long time that you spent as a defense coordinator and as a head coach, how uncommon is it to have two defensive tackles that are fifth and sixth year guys that both have been in their rotation or starters since they were freshmen?
I've never had that. Having guys play, part of it's COVID, that helps, give them that extra year. But these guys are playing at a very, very high level. I thought as a pair on Saturday, they played as physical and productive as any pair of inside guys that I've ever coached. When the pro scouts come, they're not the most physically imposing guys because of their length, but they play as hard as anybody in the country and are productive. And so to see them, there was a spot during this year where, a lot of guys may have turned it in and not continued to practice hard because things weren't going our way. They come out and they lead and they practice hard every day. They go out there and it shows up on Saturday.
Also at cornerback, obviously Braylon Lux has gotten more time as the season has gone on. Made a couple of key plays on Saturday. What is what has his development been like to get him into this position that he's in?
Well, he's been dinged up a little bit this year. We noticed it, I think, during we talked about it during camp, that he's got a knack for making plays. I wish he would have made that the last series. He got his hands on the ball, and we thought, maybe he was going to pick the thing. But you go back to the fourth down play that we made them kick a field goal on their last series in the red zone. He does a great job, seeing what's going on and affecting the play to get it turned back in. So somebody, I forget, first got on the tackle, but he was able to finish it. You look at the fourth down play where we got the stop. He's right there to help clean it up after Jake hits the back. He's a guy that not just covers guys, but understands football and where to fit on the run. And so it's been great having him in the rotation, with two guys who've played a lot of football in Malik and Rayshad. He's earned the reps that he's gotten. We just got to keep him healthy.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay.
you break down that final drive, those 3 completions?
Yeah, same play call back to back to back. Just had one go, just the old school air raid Y cross play. Hit it, the lash read, the curl to JB on the first one. And, Barron kind of thought they were running cloud coverage to the field over there to his left. So he's about to try to throw the whole shot to Coy and reshuffled his feet, got a really good base there in the pocket, got through a progression, hit that. Went right back, exact same play, tempoed to it. Miles Price did a great job on the over out getting open, and then used the timeout there and came back, and we called the same play just going the other way. And corner bailed, and we saw a back shoulder fade opportunity, and Barron put the ball out there, and JB went and got it. So proud of those guys, man. Huge drive there, clearly late, and appreciate Coach McGuire having confidence in us to go down there, with 2 timeouts and, whatever it was, 27 seconds. We do this every Tuesday, so it's, something we do all the time. So that was good to see our guys battle after a kind of a rough game for us at times there, but good to finish it out and get a win.
And then Bradley's performance, maybe he hadn't had the season everybody was expecting, but big game Saturday.
Yeah, caught the big fade early there, kind of went up and kind of had that one-handed catch. Another one where I thought Barron just did a good job of giving him a chance, kind of a 50-50 ball, if you will, and he went up and made that. And then, late down the stretch, he made some huge plays for us. So, again, proud of him. He's been busting his tail all year in practice. And, I think, the harder you practice, some of those things are good things happen to you in a game. And he had a really good game for us and made those huge plays when we needed them.
There's Barron health-wise, and then also, how have you seen him progress this season?
Yeah, he's not 100%, but he's definitely getting better. Again, I've got to get him to not take some shots that he takes at times. But, at the same time as a coach, like on that 4th and 1 where he took a shot there, we got to get a first down in that situation. But he's getting better, man. And again, I think you're just going to continue to see him rise, I've said it before, I think especially when you look forward to him next year, having a full spring here, with as a starter, going in and some of those things, he'll just continue to get better. But he's awesome, man. He's got such great poise and great leadership on the sidelines, which is something that's great to have. Because, even when we're not playing as good on offense and not doing as good as we'd like to be doing, he's jumping up and down the sidelines, getting the defense going and cheering those guys on and keeping our guys up throughout a game. So you're just going to continue to see him get better and better as we go.
Sean, and Faith, and Ty.
Coach, you talked about how even though you aren't playing as well, how does it feel having that be able to defend on the defense and be able to say, look, we're going to get you the ball back and give you an opportunity to score and win?
Yeah, it's great. Coach DeRuyter and those guys are doing a tremendous job. I've been on plenty of other sides of that deal where you score 50 but lose 55-50, and I'm telling you, I'll take 16-13 every time. So love it how those guys are playing. Those guys are playing hard, getting the ball back, creating turnovers for us, and it's just great to see us, win as a team. And again, this similar game last year with us at Iowa State where we struggled to put some points on the board, and they helped win that football game for us, and that was kind of the same kind of deal this week. So love watching those guys go out there and do their thing.
What does UCF's defense remind you of, and how do you have to attack it to win?
Yeah, they're very athletic. Structurally, they're very kind of similar to what we just saw with Kansas. You're going to see a little bit more of a 4-down front, multiple coverages in the back end, but they're going to fly downhill. And, I think they played a little bit different against Cincinnati with the running quarterback than they would play probably against us. And then, this last week kind of with a lot of the rain early in that game against Oklahoma State, I think you saw them adjust and really try to stop Ollie from running around on those guys. So, again, we've got to be ready to run the football with Taj and keep leaning on him, but at the same time, we've got to be able to strike it through the air and get Barron going early.
How was Taj almost getting 101 yards to start, and then being able to get the passing going in the second half? What do you have to do to get Taj the touches so it's not 20 touches in the first half rather than 20 touches throughout an entire game?
Yeah, I felt like a lot of those touches early, those 20-something touches in the first half were those first 2 drives, and we were really just pounding it on them. And then, unfortunately, we had the touchdown called back that we were going to go up 14-0, and I think that kind of almost gave them a little bit of momentum right there. And from there, they really started kind of filling the box a little bit more, and and we were going to try to force a couple of those runs at times, and we just weren't getting as much yardage there after those first couple of drives. But again, man, especially you get that late in that fourth quarter, and we're trying to get a couple first downs to seal the game. I mean, we're gonna hand the ball to 28 and see what he can do.
With Tharp being back this week, what do you expect out of him? And then just what have you seen out of Baylor while he's been out?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Mason. Definitely fired up to have him back. He's a weapon. It's going to be interesting to see, how much we are going to be able to really use him, like giving him a pitch count, if you will, just because he's been out for a few weeks, and we got to make sure he's conditioned and some of those things. But we're going to put him out there and see what he can do. And as far as Baylor goes, I mean, he's been really good, just doing his job, doing what we're asking him to do. Has a couple catches here and there, but really he's very, very good in our run blocking scheme, and he's done a great job there, so been proud of him.
Coach, you're going up against the UCF rush defense that's giving up almost 200 yards a game. I know Taj just had this really heavy workload in the last game. Is there any intention to keep him on that same workload and maybe incorporate Cameron a little bit more, or how are you kind of splitting it this week?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're still going to see a huge dose of Taj, man. I mean, he's at the point now where, these last 4 to 5 games, I mean, he's just like, unless I got to take myself out of the game, I'm not coming off the field. And as a coach, that's what you really want. You know what I mean? You want your leaders, your best players out there playing as many snaps as they can go. And he's not a guy that wants to come off the field, and he's honest with himself and knows when he needs a blow, and he'll ask for a substitution. But yeah, we're gonna keep trying to feed him the ball, and he's done a tremendous job. And I don't know exactly where he's at, top 5 I think in the country rushing, and so that's been awesome for him. And credit to him, and as well as our tight ends and O-line, those guys blocking for him, the receivers on the perimeter. So, but definitely going to get him going, and then you're going to see Cam come in, and hopefully we can get Cam a few carries here and there, and he can pop some runs as well.
And then with bowl eligibility on the line, kind of how are your personnel rooms reacting to this? Is it a sense of excitement, maybe nervousness? How is everybody feeling?
Yeah, I mean, that's always, one of your goals is always getting to a bowl. Clearly we want to play for a Big 12 championship game and win a Big 12 championship game, but that's, unfortunately that's not where we're at for now. So, again, this is the opponent of the week, and we know this is a huge game for us. And, fortunately for us to get bowl eligibility, we're to play here in the Jones in front of our fans and in front of our crowd. And, a night to honor our seniors, who have done so much for this football program and for this staff, new staff coming in and being leaders for us too. So definitely special. And yeah, we're fired up to have an opportunity to get this 6th win this week.
Coach, I'm just curious, with Barron throwing that curl to Jerron really with some great anticipation, getting it before he even turned, how do you feel he's developing as a quarterback, is making those reads, and obviously arm strength getting better as he gets more healthy?
Yeah, he's getting better. There's some things that we definitely need to work on with him. And again, I think it's going to come with more repetition. I mean, when you really look down and you break down how many games Barron Morton's played in his college career, it's really not that many. And so I think you're just going to continue to see him rise and get better as we go. But man, that's the play we called there at the end. That's one of his favorite play calls, and he's very comfortable with it. And that's kind of just your muscle memory thing. He ran the same play in high school, and it's just something he's done forever. Very comfortable with that play. And yeah, timing was impeccable. Right as JB's turning around, that thing's hitting him in the shoulder, and that was great. And he's doing a good job, man. Like I said, I think you're just going to see him continue to get better every week.
We'll wrap up with Don. Zach, if we had told you in August that in mid-November your running back would have the 2nd most carries in the nation, what would you have thought had transpired for that to be the case?
Well, I'd like to hope maybe we're up by like 40 points at halftime. We're just running the ball, running the clock out, No, definitely, probably not something you thought would happen. I mean, I think everybody knows I'm kind of by nature, I'm a throw first guy. But with some of the situations and some of the things we've had happen to us this year, and how great he's running the football, he's a guy we got to lean on. So, been a lot of fun though, for me, trying to grow in the run game and find different ways to, create different run packages and different run schemes, and that stuff's been great. And, I credit my staff too. They do a great job on finding some good stuff that we can incorporate week in and week out. So, but yeah, definitely something I probably wouldn't have thought would happen.
Well, so Ty Buchanan playing a little bit of left guard the other day. How long has he worked there at that position?
Yeah, so he got back a couple weeks ago, and we've kind of he's been playing some tackle and some guard. And Jacoby just had a real light stinger real quick, so we took him out for a couple drives there until he got that thing back, and he's fine. But it was good to get Ty some reps. Ty's a guy that we're hoping to count on in the future around here, and he looked pretty good at that left guard position. So excited about him, and his development, and him being able to play tackle and guard, I think will be huge for us in the years to come.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank y'all.